How do you do it, Basil?
Easy. I just took some cooking classes in college.
No, I mean, we're stranded on an unknown planet, millions of miles from home, and you're cooking. You look ridiculous.
Well, young lady, when you've done enough work studying evolution, relativity, chaos theory, nature of the universe, all that type of stuff, you begin to realize that our world is completely chaotic and absurd for a conscious mind.
We had Brant and Aaron Zaragoza on the ball with that, so they put out the original casting call on the internet and just started getting all these potential actors and actresses to come in, and they ran auditions all over the place.
You can fix a lot of things in post, but what you can't do is fix your actor's performance. So casting is very important to the film because, I mean, if you can't get good actors, then there's nothing you can do.
We knew that whoever came into the project would bring something entirely new. And when Matt and I wrote the script, we basically said, let's throw out any ideas of what these characters might look like and see who comes.
When we were writing Basil, it was someone kind of like, almost like Anthony Daniels, the guy who played C-3PO. Like, really kind of geeky and like really big glasses, kind of like mop of hair. He would be so natural in a lab coat and a tie. I mean, that was even some costuming we were playing with at the beginning. And then Surreal's tape came on. And we were just like, who is this guy? He is so cool and so interesting. Like, we had never pictured Basil like this before, and he started off like, what was the first thing we saw? Was it his singing?
It's the same, it's hot wire.
The first time we ever saw him, he's singing there, he's got this screwdriver sticking out of his mouth. He's just like, oh, hot wire. And he just got this really gruff voice, and he's got this French accent, he's just like, he's this total character. And it was so unexpected, and unlike anything I had imagined, we were both instantly intrigued.
I define Basil as a goofy guru. He's trying to explain what is life all the time, and he's trying to search what is life all the time. And he's trying to explain that life is not about self. That's not his vision of life. Life is not about self. Life is about being able to communicate and to interact with each other. It's not about self. It's not about survival. It's not about that. It's about being able to interact with each other. And the more you interact, the more you're a human person.
The way we've been rehearsing these scenes is we run them like a play. When we're filming, it's going to be chopped up to get all the different angles and different shots. And but we've really worked hard to make it so that the rehearsal goes all in one, the whole scene. We just rehearse from start to finish as best we can.
They gave me very specific directions for how they wanted each character to kind of play each part. And with that, they also suggested that also just add your own direction and mix it up to see if the to see how the actors handle adapting and taking direction, because that is, I mean, it's an important aspect, because these people have to be able to play the parts, but we also have to be able to work with them, and if they're arrogant and unwilling to change their interpretation, then it's obviously a bad thing.
Impress you? I don't need some guy to be my muscles. Why can't you see that I'm perfectly capable of doing anything you can do?
Of course you can, but one person can't fix a problem this big. We need to work together for once.
Done.
Done.
Here we go! And in 3, 2, 1, action!
Jason!
Tess, hit! Why aren't you driving?
There isn't anything to drive, McCare. The engine start failed.
Cut!
Cutting.
He sees himself, at least I see him, as a biological tool, especially being in a ship that reacts in so many biological ways and things. It has heart, has lungs, has an appendix, well, has a removed appendix, which is the little work area for my character. But yeah, it's funny. He just wants to keep the heart working. He just doesn't want it to do anything else, and I think that's a good metaphor for the man himself.
He's supposed to know everything very well about the ship, and he has this rather very gentle quality despite his kind of physical mass. And so I suggested that we give McCare some tools and like a little fake microchip box to kind of like work on and tinker with and see how the actor kind of interpreted that physical gentleness and that like ability to kind of like get in there and work with very delicate small things.
I'm not one to be afraid.
It's like what happened back on the ship. You get yourself stabbed in the leg, trying to be the badass. But my kid could have helped if you let him.
She has her guard on a lot around McCare, and throughout the story, her whole arc is really the withering away of that guard, like really letting that wall come down. But she's hard-headed, and that takes a while to happen.
She's our protagonist, and that moment we were obsessed over our protagonist. And we had a very demanding a lot of different demanding things that we wanted Tess to do. Tess had to be physical, she had to be commanding. She had to be someone who could be soft and quiet and shy when no one else is watching. Stephanie's a dancer, and
She's taken a lot of
she's
combat.
taken a lot of combat, stage combat and martial arts and stuff, and she really has that kind of military physical presence.
I really like how she's unafraid. I mean, even to a fault. You know, where she goes killing herself practically over things, and but she's really fearless, and I really admire that in her. And she's also a badass, which I love playing. It's so much fun to play someone who just doesn't give a shit.
I want my engines now. Why aren't you going through the standard procedure? Each engine has to be started individually.
You're gonna quote the book at me until we explode, or you're gonna help.
Cut!
See how I sacrifice myself for my art.
Its engine surged with power as it turns about on its new course, setting out into the glittering starscape. Fade out.
And that's it, we're done.